This is Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting from the Concierge Landscape Studios and brought to you by Extreme Exteriors. Let's hear now from the Community Associations Institute. The CAI Minute is brought to you by Start to Finish Maintenance Contractors. Start to Finish provides 24-hour service for all of your home and business maintenance needs. Call Start to Finish at 952-259-1219 for your home, for your business, for your peace of mind.
Are you a member of the Community Associations Institute? For nearly 40 years, CAI has provided education and resources to volunteer homeowners who govern community associations and the professionals who support them. Visit caionline.org to learn more. That address again is caionline.org. CAI helps community association board members by providing online resources, in-person training, and hard copy publications written by association management experts. CAI offers community managers professional development, networking opportunities, and a certification program that's established as the industry standard nationwide. Minnesota has its own chapter of the Community Associations Institute to bring resources and tools from community associations around the country right to your home. Visit CAIMN.com to learn more and become a member of CAI today. Your community and management company will benefit from your involvement. Join the Community Associations Institute today at CAIMN.com and click on Membership.
I want to encourage all of our listeners to try out our new Where You Live hotline. You can leave a message with your question or your comment about things you've heard on the show, and we'll address it at the next show. The number is 952-224-2668.
That's right.
Gene, let's go back to this list. Is the client always right? Why do vendors and contractors sometimes fire their clients? And we're talking specifically about homeowner associations, right?
Yes, and there are reasons of concern for vendors to say, do I want to continue to be associated with this client? And we've talked about internal strife with board member versus board member versus homeowners. Okay?
Sure, it causes conflicting messages to the contractors.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the exact opposite that is a reason, and that would be sometimes you have absolutely no strife because you have just the entire board or association really being run by one individual.
See, in a dictatorship, there's less conflict.
Oh, there's no.
There's less disagreement.
No conflicts. The trains run on time, but it may not necessarily be what you want. Have you dealt with an association in the past? That was close to that.
Not extreme. I can't. One doesn't pop in my head when I think of this issue, and I've certainly heard stories from other management and other managers that they've got a board that's just everyone's kowtowing to one person, and sometimes it's just because of the apathy of the board members.
Yeah.
One person's willing to step up and take on the tasks and do the job, and everyone else kind of happy to sit back and let that person take charge, right?
Now, that was a case that I had, the very first association I had back when I was 27 years old.
Was that the 528 units?
Yeah, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
here,
I ran that one too.
It was the board president really ran the show, and it was a 9-member board. But
big board.
They
wow.
were very. But after everything was said and done, this person would say, "This is what's going to happen," and nobody said differently.
And that's the way it was. So that causes problems for contractors. How?
Well, it can be because you're talking about someone who is. So opinionated. If someone cannot take or understand anything from anybody else, they're not going to take the recommendation of anybody that is a professional, and that is a big concern.
Boy, and I've seen that. And that's another item on our list. Boards that will pay for professional opinions and then ignore those opinions.
Yes.
And we've seen this with legal opinions. We've seen this with construction opinions, management opinions.
Yeah, engineers, CPAs on the finances. And what are some of those that have been in finances? The governing documents, the state statute says specifically you must protect the principle of the capital reserve funds.
Right.
And so we have had associations that have said, we're going to invest that in the stock
We're going to
market.
play the market with the reserve funds.
Yes, and although people say, no, you can't do it.
Sure.
Their
CPA tells them no. Their manager tells them don't do it. Their attorney may tell them don't do it. Your documents don't allow it.
And over the years, when some of those types of things have happened, those have been reasons why I know we have actually said to a client, I don't think that we're going to be associated.
Sure,
and it's
right.
not because directly there's any consequence to us in terms of any loss that we'll incur, because we won't. In that case, the finances are theirs. The sort of collateral damage that we see, or that a vendor or contractor sees, is that other people get wind of that, other members in the association, and then they rise up. They get rid of that person who's on the board, and then they turn around to you, the professional, and they say, why did you let it happen?
Right.
How did you let this happen? And
well, because we don't run your association. We advise your association. No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, and how many times have you sat in a meeting and this has happened to me often. I make a recommendation. They don't want to take my recommendation. And if they are headed on a dangerous course of action, my response is, please note in the minutes that your property management company advised you to do such and such and such and such, because I'm trying to cover our butts in the situation. It's not just that we get it affects our reputation, Gene. As we discussed earlier in the show today, we may be on that list of people who are being sued by someone down the line.
That's a very good point. Yes, nowadays people want to list and name everybody and everything, and so it's good to frame things the way they ought to be.
And there are lawsuits like that. I know another management company in town was facing a lawsuit like that a couple of years ago. Management did not control this situation when in reality management had advised the correct course of action and the board had not taken the advice.
Yeah, and if it gets serious enough, you get to a point and you say, you know what, that's my reputation as well.
Yeah.
That can be sullied. So I can see why there are vendors or contractors that will say, you know, I don't know that I want to be identified, because other people will take a look at that association. Sometimes people think nobody else is going to notice, but people do. People down the road will say, boy, look at this association. Look at how they never have funds. Look at all the lawsuits that take place.
Yeah.
Who's managing them?
Yeah.
And they go, wow. Boy, then they start associating. Here's someone that can't control things, and is that a concern? Yeah, it is. How about with finances? People are upset, and there's a lot of angst there. A CPA may say, "I don't want to be a part of this," for anybody to think that anything.
That I condone this or suggested this. How about this situation, Gene? And I'm sure you've had this occur in something you've managed. There's a homeowner or a board member who wants to be involved in the contractor's work, who wants to supervise the contractor's work, who is, for example, out in the yard measuring the height of the grass with a ruler to direct the lawn crew. I've heard contractors complain bitterly about that situation.
Oh, yes. And that's where you have an issue where you have homeowners, or I guess it could be a board member too, that gets involved in redirecting that vendor or contractor with what they're doing, and that again gives the mixed signals that we talked about before, and is a concern.
It also causes a financial concern, because that person doing the work is under a contract to do specific things. I had a homeowner grab the exterminator one time on a property and start walking him all around the property, showing him everything she wanted treated that day, and he had not been hired to do all that.
Yeah. Another one that I want to point out that I think is kind of a big deal too. Sometimes you'll have a board that will know and understand that what they're doing is wrong, or what they've decided on, but they just don't care, and they'll move ahead anyway.
That seems ridiculous when you say it that way, but it really happens.
Because what we're talking about is something becomes emotional.
Ah,
it becomes. You talked earlier about reason, and those things just have nothing to do with the situation.
Yeah.
Here's someone who's become very emotional, and this situation isn't about being right. It's about having them feeling justified inside.
There you go.
Well, it looks like we are just running out of time. The show just goes by too quick.
It does.
And so we're going to just say thanks, folks, for listening. We hope that you'll join us again next Sunday right here on Where You Live with Gene and Tony. And until then, have a great rest of the weekend.